I am leaving work and I'm going to probably head out and do some errands before I go back in, go take a nap, and get ready to come back to work because I gotta work. I gotta work. Okay. Um. Oh shit. Okay. Y'all excuse me because somehow I done parked myself in this place and not turn the doggone wheel the right way. Not turn the wheel the right way, y'all. That's diabolical. Okay. It's diabolical, but it's all good in the name. What am I doing? Am I tripping? Oh, y'all, I'm not. I'm like turning my wheel before I'm turning it out. So, y'all, I've been so vexed today. When I say I'm vexed, I mean so vexed. I came in here and I felt like a sense of pressure. And it wasn't like a bad pressure, it was just pressure. Like, just regular pressure. You gonna let me come out or you just gonna drive past? Okay. What was the meaning? You was just gonna. This is weird of you. Fuck weirdo. People are weird. That lady is weirder than weird, but okay, I'm gonna let it go. Cause I'm like, are you gonna let me go? You gonna let me out or what? She see me come out, she just sitting there. She moving closer to my car. Like, did you think I was gonna back in? Let me out. So there's a little stuff around. Keep praying. Like God keep me. But I mean, it's little stuff that's been coming like towards me. It's almost like the enemy is sending stuff to provoke murder. Okay. Um. So I get to work. I get to work, and I was like about 5 minutes. About 5 minutes. No, it had to be like 4 minutes. I wasn't 5 minutes because past 5 minutes you consider late. So I was just almost about to be late. Okay. And I don't know how because I got down to where I needed to get to in a good spot, but traffic was really well. Yeah, I know because traffic was really hectic. Okay, so I had to deal with a lot of traffic. It is what it is. Okay. So anywho, I get there and I decide for myself. I decide for myself today that when I go into this particular job, I am not. I'm gonna come in there. I'm still gonna be happy and bubbly like I usually am, but I'm gonna be cordial. I'm gonna be more, disciplined and staying at my cubicle and just doing my work because anytime it comes to where I am away from my cubicle, people feel like there's a problem, but they really can't do anything to me because my work is done. I'm ahead of my work. I'm not distracting anybody else from their work, so it's nothing that they can really do, and I don't stay around that long. Okay, come on now. And so, um, that's what they would do. So I said, okay, let's make things better. Let's be more proactive. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stay at my cubicle unless it's time to go to lunch. I need to go to the restroom and be done, okay? And I know some people are like, well, why didn't you do that in the first place? You just going to get there, get a check anyway. I promise y'all, I've done that before, and it kind of doesn't work when you want to keep your job for the most part, and you want to move around. And I don't want to put race into it, but it is very hard for a person, a black woman, to be left alone in the workforce. It's always somebody trying to, I don't know. I know for me, I'm going to say from my experience, I know there's always somebody who tries to come after me. Because I am more introverted, when they see that I really am an introvert, that's when I get the most. And when I say introvert, it's not like I'm hiding myself, but I just try to keep things to a professional level, keep it very calm, and do my work and go home. It's a problem. Okay, it is a problem, and so I have learned to put on a persona just enough so that I'm able to get my work done, and be in the be considered, a team player. Okay, so socialization, and it's not a bad thing for socialization, but socialization um, sometimes is a weaker thing that I really don't. I don't like unnecessary conversation, but I know that that's a part of being in the work environment that I'm in currently. Um, so those conversations really bother me, but I know I have to get them done. You know, and just have little, just conversations. So today I decided I wasn't going to do that. I was going to go ahead and do my work. I didn't even go in health safety with the auditorial metrics, the hearing test, or the audio metrics. That's what it is, auditorial metrics. Just basically a fancy way of saying hearing test. And the reason why I didn't help them with that is because I felt like I had other work to do, and they have more other people that can do that. And so when you have other people that you feel that are skilled to do that, then you need to get them and not call me. Okay, so um, that ended up happening, but they ended up calling me anyway, which they have been for the last 3 weeks. Okay, and so I get up and I'm getting ready, and so one of the lead staff there tells me after I suit up and get ready to go do this task, tell me that they don't need me anymore. So I say, okay, well, I'm going back to my cubicle. Okay, I go back to my cubicle, and lo and behold, they're trying to say that I just moved around and took myself and self-directed to come over there. And I'm like, that's not true. And so when I go in and I'm like, well, why would you even go in there and say that? Let me tell you, because I broke it down. I'm like, who told you this? And they telling me that it's somebody who I spoke to. And I'm like, well, if they felt that way, why didn't they tell me that? Like, and they're trying to make it tell me that it's not a big deal and all this, even though self-directing is grounds for termination, y'all. This can lead up to a write-up that will affect your record, including termination, okay, for the first offense, okay? And so, I was like, what is going on? Like, I said, okay, so now I have to go, get this into discovery, put this into discovery, and let, human resources deal with it. And they're like, no, it's not that big of a deal. And I'm like, yes, it is, because now you're threatening my livelihood. And that's where I draw the line, especially when I've been trying to do what I need to do. You can't say that I was away from wherever I was supposed to be, because I was in the right spot at the right time, okay? I was at the right spot in the right time, okay? And so, yeah, so that was the first thing. Second was that, I had, when I first came in, they were going to try to put me at a different cubicle. And I'm like, okay, now most people have been getting mad and getting upset. I don't really care, because you know why? I'm getting paid the same to do whatever task they have me to do. So if they paying, I'm staying, okay? It's going to be the same amount. I don't care what task it is, as long as I get my stuff done. As long as I get to somewhere and down here and you can see that I'm doing work, I don't care. And so I'm like getting ready for that. They're telling me they're gonna move me around. I said, okay, that's fine. They was like, well, I thought you were gonna be upset. I said, no, I'm not gonna be upset. Why would I be upset? I'm getting paid. I don't care. So now, since I don't care, now they want to put me back to where I originally was at. So I'm like, what is this going to? Like, where is this? Are they trying to get me upset? Where is this going? Where is this going? Where is this leading to? Okay. So it's been little things like that. A couple of other things I've been dealing with is individuals trying to take my money, y'all. Companies trying to take my money, all kind of crazy stuff. And it's been really bothering me, especially since I've been just trying to stay focused and discipline more myself and all that other stuff. And yeah. So it's been a little stuff. It's been just nitpicking. lot of things, that's just been getting really into my skin. So under my skin, I say into my skin, under my skin. So I know something is really up. And then also dealing with what's going on in the world that we live in today. Okay, my country is currently at war. Okay, I don't know how we got into this A and B conversation. We really needed to see our way out. Okay, because we are the C's, and some of y'all are D, E, and y'all need to see D, E, F, and G out of A and B's conversation, out of their whole shedago, okay? Because that we got enough going on. We got enough going on, okay? We do not need to be in nobody else's business, okay? So that's been a lot of stress. But I have to remember that we are at war now, so um and that doesn't look easy. That's not an easy thing, even if we're not physically, going at it. Some people will be at combat, but it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy look. It's not an easy journey for either parties, and you have to think of things that way. And when it happens, the energy around you is going to be different. Okay, it's brewing. Okay, the spirits around you is going to be different. You're going to feel a little bit more agitated. That's why you have to have a prayer life. You're going to feel more agitated. You're going to feel more antsy and all that. You're going to feel it. You are going to feel it. And it's only the discipline that will be able to overcome a lot of things that are going to take place. And I had to think about that with the job that I had, because I really wanted to leave out and be like, you know what, I'm not going to deal with this. I'm going to start another day, send this out, write this, whatever. But I had to look at things and say, okay, well, what can I do now to make this situation better? With me leaving my job, losing out on an hour or 30 minutes of my time, would that be beneficial to me and my endeavors and what I'm trying to do? No, it would not. No, it would not. Okay? And so I have to think about decisions long term and not short term. It would have made me feel good to say I don't have to see their faces anymore, but truth be told, I gotta see them tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. So just remember that a lot of these things, we are at war. A lot of these things are going to trickle down to the everyday person. The fears and the decisions of people in higher up are going to affect the common folk like you and I. Okay? All right? And you have to get your mind prepared for it, because I promise you, the mentally weak will not be able to stand. Okay? The mentally weak will not be able to stand. All right? Just letting you know. And so, yeah. And this gave me another opening about this too. Okay? And I had a coworker that reminded me of this. During this time, especially if you've been through any kind of preparation time and talking to God and trying to do the right things and having all these attacks, be careful about who you help. I don't give a care if it is your family. Look at the scenarios and ask yourself, do God want you to really help some of these people? Some of these people can't be helped because they don't want to be helped. They only want it because they know that you're going to be secure and you're going to do the right things to get stuff done. Ask yourself, do you want that dead weight around you? We've been talking about that for years, things that's been going on. The visions that we've seen, God has been telling us stuff for the longest, okay? Ask yourself, do you want that around you? And I'm not saying, just get everybody and things like that, but sometimes you might, in some cases, you might have to forget about it. because they're not going to change. Okay? Sometimes you might have to say forget them because they are not going to change. And it's better to understand that now than to have somebody around you and try to attack you for some blessing that God is trying to give you later. And fan out the hard way and they try to take your life. There's a lot of people who never made it because they're around people who didn't want to see them be better and be successful and be who they were called to be. Okay? So you have to be careful. Okay? If they were supposed to be around you, they would have been around you during the struggle times. If they were supposed to be around you, they would have been around you when you needed help, when you tried to reach out and they didn't come. When they had crazy stuff to say, but then all of a sudden it's their turn, and now they looking for everybody to help them. Okay? I just want y'all, I'm not saying that you got to broadcast and say, aha, put nothing in anybody's face. I'm just telling you to take close inventory. Take an inventory. Take an invoice of everything that's around you. All the things that you had to go through, all the lessons that you had to learn before getting to this point. Before getting to this point. Because let me tell you, for me, I had to learn a lot of hard lessons. A lot of hard lessons. When I fell, nobody was there to help me. It was nobody but me and God. And when God got me back up, some people still didn't want to deal with me. Until God started showing some light on me and they started seeing some goodness. And, even then, some people would try to downplay that until they started hurting. You see what I'm saying? And now you so loving, you so caring. But as soon as if they get it back on their feet, they're gonna try to kick you down, okay? And a lot of y'all know that I'm telling the truth because they've done it before. I had people who've done that to me before, okay? And so that's what I want to share with people. Be careful who you keep around, who you let back in and around you. I had to take a clear inventory. I used to make dots on people and after 6 months, see where they at and how they react towards me. They act a little crazy or they got other stuff that they ain't taking care of and they want you to save the day. They get a little bit more distance from you. They get a little more distance from you. They not taking accountability for their actions. You definitely put some distance, some yards from you. If they're not trying to improve themselves. If they come out with a lot of negativity, they want to dump on you. To the back, okay? To the back. I had to look at old conversations, old friends that disappeared and show back up. Why did they show back up? Ask yourself, is this relationship, it's a different dynamic because it's a different time. Is it the same dynamic? If it is, then why did it dissipate the first time? Was it just distance? Most of the time it's not. Because you wouldn't have to ask yourself for that. Because if it's just distance, then it's gonna be good and it's gonna feel natural when y'all come back. But if it's not, ask yourself why. And then when you ask yourself why, did it improve? Did it improve in any way from the last time? And to be honest, most people don't change. Most people don't change off the bat. Okay? And when they do change, they don't conform and stay that way. That's why they have some of the situations that they have. Okay. For example, this is a prime example. I have a individual that is around me right now. That's why I have to cut them off. They weren't taking care of all the main finances, a roof over their head, simple stuff. It wasn't like they didn't have the funds. I'm just not gonna do it. It's gonna always be there. I'm not gonna do it. And then when things get tough, they want everybody else to jump and help them and come with this poor me mentality. And then they want you to take out your hard earnings, but you slaved and sacrifice your time and your effort, because that's what money is, your time and your effort for most people. Because most people are not making passive income. They're making it off the sweat of their brow. So that means you went to work. You took the sweat off your brow. And now you about to put it in somebody else's mouth who was able-bodied, who refused to do the work. I'm not talking about a kid who you still got to take care of or anything like that. I'm talking about a person that is physically or mentally handicapped or anything like that. I'm talking about somebody who is able-bodied and adult, okay? And an able-bodied adult, okay? That's not what that's for. That's not what your life is for, to go do that. Okay? That's not what your life is for. And it's the entitlement. Now, I don't want anybody coming here saying crazy stuff like, oh yeah, well maybe, if it was a husband and wife, women do that all the time, because that is foolish, because we already know that you can have different kind of currency. Somebody might be doing something else and giving something else in order to make the household better. So we're not talking about those situations. I'm telling you about people who are not taking accountability in things of their own, that are in their power and in their control. Because I'll tell you this, people, when you help them, it will become a repeating pattern. It will become a repeating pattern. Okay? And that's what I had to get taught, and God really showed me. Even with my own family, my own mother, my own family, okay? And this is what you got to think about. I think about this. Even when I was younger. When I was younger, my first job was when I was 13, okay? And I had what they call it a full-time job, but I only worked 35 hours a week. Mind you, I was still going to school, y'all. And I used to make it happen. I ain't had no car. I would walk blisters on my feet because they say, oh yeah, you need a job. Why can't you do this? Why they giving other people with the same, not different kind of treatment? And you go and you do it and you make it happen. You got to think about that. What was they doing when they was, then they cracking jokes about how you looking, going to go work and doing all this, and I could never do this. I could never flip burgers. I could never screw up tables. I could never screw up toilets. I could never. Think about that. Think about that. You humbled yourself. Okay? This is what God had to show you. You humbled yourself and did what was necessary to make your life better, to create the life that you felt like you needed, wanted, and deserved. Okay? They didn't help you, get better when you was down, but as soon as you got up, and they started falling down because they don't have a work ethic. Mind you, they don't have a work ethic. Soon, and I mean as soon as you get on the ground and things start to show, here come these people, and they won't. Not only do they want to celebrate you, but they want to celebrate you at your expense. You taking care of them, you showing them out. Oh, well, you got this. Well, it ain't gonna hurt if you give me this. And you like, I'm barely making it. Or even if you not barely making it, where was you? Where were you? Okay, where were you? Because I'll tell you, everybody got an opportunity to be present for somebody or whoever they want to be with. They make a decision not to choose you. That's what I had to understand too. People got free choice. God gives us free will, free choice to choose. Okay, they just didn't choose you. So why are you choosing them? Why are you choosing them? Okay? Remember that. You only choosing what is choosing you. Because if you choose them and they don't choose you, guess what? They're gonna devalue what you got. Everything you get to them, they're gonna think of it as trash because they feel entitled to it. When people feel entitled to stuff, they don't treat it well. They don't treat it well. When they feel grateful for something, they treat it differently. They treat it differently. And it's a different feeling when you know you got to put in that work, or you know what it takes to put in that work to go get it. Even if you didn't put in the work, if you know what it takes and you understand the value of something, that changes your perspective. Entitled people, that's not gonna happen. So you gotta remember that. And you might not want to say that the person around you is entitled. Maybe they had other things. You're not the only person in the world. You can go through that because I used to feel that way too. And they used to say, you're not the only person in the world. Okay, but you chose somebody else other than me to help. You chose somebody else other than me to appreciate. You chose somebody else to be around when you was up and flying high. Okay, so when you down, you need them same people. I know them same people ain't gonna be around because most of the time, them people only around them because they got something up or they, fronting and doing all kind of crazy stuff. But that ain't your problem. Your thing is to understand that what is Whatever God gives you is for you to keep. You put in the work. He's blessing you. And yeah, you're supposed to bless others. Because I always feel like if God bless me, I'm going to bless others. God made me a natural giver. But I have to understand that God is a cheerful giver, but he is smart. He's not like us, okay? And he will direct you to people who will be able to use what he gives you to multiply for him, for his glory. So, y'all, don't take a second look. They're gonna say crazy stuff, but remember, they did the king like that. Don't even trip. This is bigger than a physical war. This is spiritual. This is spiritual, and it's ripping the veil, it's cutting the ties, and it's separating who is who and what is what. Now it could be a chance where they see what's going on, and God can actually get a word to them and touch them and help them and get them on the right journey. But what I've learned for myself, what God showed me, okay, that it's just not up to me because I'm not God, and I have to take and I have to repent. And God, I do repent for trying to be in control because I'm not God, trying to lead people to the water that don't want to go and drink. Okay, I'm trying to lead horses to the water who don't want to take a drink. Okay, they dying of thirst. They say they dying of thirst. They parch, but they don't want to get led to the water. They refusing the trip to the well. Okay, they refusing to take the trip to the well. And you can't get no water until you get the well. Okay, unless you're waiting for rainwater, and we don't know when that's coming. And it's a limited supply of rainwater because once it's there, sometimes it's gone. Okay? So just remember that, y'all. Remember it. Okay? And it's going to be tough because some people, but if you do it early, and you do it in a good way, you'll be able to move around and avoid some of this stuff. Avoid some of this stuff that's about to come. Okay? Yeah. You can avoid it if you do it the right way. Okay? And you'll see a lot of people, there's going to be a lot of people still going through this, and I've just been praying, like, God, please help me. Help me to stay on the path and not get distracted by any other people that's being thrown in my way. Okay? So, yeah, remember that. That's what I learned. The other thing is that because this is spiritual, sometimes you're trying to get, the ultimate goal is to K, S, or D. Okay? So if the enemy cannot K you, then he will S you. He will S or take your time away from you. Steal your confidence. Okay, the enemy, I felt that when the enemy tried to take my confidence. But when you have your confidence in the Creator, it's a different ball game. It's a different ball game. When you say, okay, God gave me confidence, you start feeling like you're losing it because people are telling you something different, and you feel like it's different because it is the word curses and people, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. And you're like, wait a minute. After you like, yes, I can, but you're around the people that's naysayers and can't, you will go down and you will hide in, but then you have to read, when you focus and you study on him, you already know that, okay, greater is he that is in me than he that is of the world. So if he says yes, nobody can say no, okay? Okay? All you need is that yes. If he said it, then it is what it is. I don't care what it look like. I don't care what it feel. That's what it is. Okay? So when you have your confidence in him, you might feel a little wobbly, but you're going to still stand back up on it. You might fall. You might do some things that are not good and not seem like they might not even feel like they seem ethical, or they might not be ethical. But you're going to be able to turn around and go the right way. Every time. You say, my sheep hear my voice. That's another one. My sheep hear my voice and will not depart from it, will not turn away from it. So when we hear him, it don't matter all the other naysayers. It don't matter. What strength us is not what's on the outside, it's what's on the inside, which is him. And when you are weak, God is strong. That's another. Come on now. When you are weak, and then that people are doing all this crazy stuff and saying all this crazy stuff, and you keep going, that light is shining in you. That light is shining in you, and it keep going. It be a flicker. It'd be like a flicker, like the faith of a mustard seed. It'd be like a little bit, but you keep tilling it, you keep going, and eventually it start blooming. People be I done had people down me, say all kind of crazy stuff when I start stuff. When things go out and be like, okay, just keep practicing. They ain't gonna be laughing too long. That's why I say, let them laugh now so you can laugh later. That's my favorite saying. Let them laugh now so you can laugh later. Meaning you put in the work. You don't care about what nobody else is saying because you're gonna get your reward, a greater reward later if you keep going, staying consistent. Keep your head focused. Keep your head down and keep focused. Forget what everybody else is telling you, because if you look at the world today, people, it's going out more than ever that we got fake people in the world, meaning people will lie. They will tell you any kind of thing to fall and make things sound good, and people will fall for it and will go right along with the crowd instead of telling the truth. Instead of opening their mouth and telling the truth, what's going on, And so, and standing on some stuff, standing on business. And you start seeing the people you thought that was weak and that was weird. They was actually the ones that was standing on the business, and the people that had all these people around them. Yeah. People believe it. They have a courage the cowardly dog. That's what they was. Courage the cowardly dog. Oxymoron. Because what kind of stuff is that? Courage the cowardly dog. That's exactly what they were. So, it takes something. It takes something to be rooted. Okay? That wind can blow. Obstacles can come. Things can come against you. People, entities can come against you. But when you on that rock, you gonna still stand. When you get solid, you rooted. Oh, baby, you ain't got no other choice. You ain't got no other choice but to make some fruit and sprout. And that's what you got to understand. That's why I'm so grateful, because I can see it now. I can see it a little bit clearer. Now, I can't see everything, but I can see clearer. I'm so glad that God had his hand on me during this time, because I didn't know what was going on. What was going on. But when he having his hand, he is able to keep it. I'm so grateful for it, because he proved that time and time, every single day, that I'm right here in my right man. Not going crazy with all the attacks and all the craziness that's been going on, and now I'm able to see a little bit clearer of what he was trying to show me, and what he was trying to get to me, And he was so gentle with it, to the point where I can understand that and he still ain't gave me all of it, but if I would have got all of that in one spot, it would have crushed me. It would have took me out. It would have crushed my heart, because I'm around people who really don't feel the same way as me, Especially when they bone to your bone and flesh to your flesh, that hits you a little bit different. It hits you a little bit different. But I'll tell you this, God is a just God. So he don't do nothing. Everything he does has a reason. Everything. You hear me? Everything he does has a reason, okay? And I mean that. Now, we might not know, but everything he does has a reason. Okay? Everything he does has a reason. And so, because of that, oh well. Because of that, um, you can't get distracted. You can't get distracted off of, who is who to you and what, and on labels and things like that. You got to look at how you have changed and what God has renewed and put in you versus what you have grown from. You got to look at that and ask yourself, do you want to go back to that? Because honestly, we don't. You want stuff that are familiar. But if you really be honest with yourself, and if I can be honest with myself, I don't want to go back to how some of my family members or old so-called friends treated me. I didn't even know some of them really didn't even like me like that. Some of them thought that I was just being overbearing and being braggadocious. And, Didn't know that. Okay. Now I know, and I have a different perspective. So if you if you know that, why would you put yourself in that kind of space? You know, God deliver you from that. Don't go back over there because of comfort. You know, that's the same thing that happened to Lot's wife. She turned around because of comfort, looking at what could have been. And another scripture that goes with that is saying a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. God won't bless you. I've been in a spot like that, and I was going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and I didn't get blessed, you know. And the enemy will try to keep you that way too. When I say, he'll take your time, he'll try to make you stay in the middle. Because why? If you stay in the middle, that's worse than being cold or hot. That's worse than being cold or hot. Get on fire. Get on fire. He can do with something with you if you on fire or if you cold. If you in the middle, that ain't gonna work. And y'all gotta think about that too. People who play the middle. See, I thought about this when they said neither hot or cold, and he'll spit you out, and just read the book about that. And I'm like, okay, I remember that, reading that even as a kid and as an adult, keep watching it. You're like, okay, well, why wouldn't it be, because it's warm, you closer to hot than ever, but I mean, you're closer to hot than if you were cold. But think about cold. You're closer to cold if you're warm than you're closer to cold um than you are to you're the same distance from cold as you are from warm. So that means you're only doing what's convenient. So you're not even doing things to please you. It's just to get even. That's only to get by. When in reality, that's not even the life that God would even want you to have, something just to get by, or just to make the basic, or just to be. You know, that's of the enemy, to be just to get back every time. And maybe in certain situations, but not in current in life. Okay, not in life. And so, um, yeah, yeah, that's the issue. Okay, that's the issue. And so, um, that's what you need to keep in your mind and think about. Keep it in your mind and think about that. Okay. The next time you wanna, um, the next time you wanna get out and you wanna help somebody, you wanna make some big decisions, especially when God is during this time, especially during this time. Ask yourself, did God, did I get the okay from God? Okay? Because you're not sent to everybody. Okay? There's gonna be some people that's gonna have a not so good, and you don't want to have that to happen to you or anybody else. But we have to let God be God, because when we step outside of what we're supposed to be doing, what our divine purpose is, or assisting people that we're not supposed to be connected to, that slows our growth down. That slows us down. Okay, and not only that, that's slowing the person down, because either they might need to grow or they have somebody else that's supposed to help them. We're not even called to be helping everybody, y'all. We are not. So just keep that in mind. So those are the things that I went through, and I'm currently dealing with. And I ask that y'all pray to keep me, you know, focused. Focus on the next steps of what is going on, and to not be fearful, because during this time, even though it's giving me a lot of confirmation about as far as what's going on around us and everything, and all that good stuff. What I have noticed, um, it gives you a little bit of the shakes. It gives you nervousness because you know a little bit more, you know. So, so yeah. Um, okay. Who is going on? Y'all, there's somebody going follow. They're like literally following where I'm going. So, let's see, see, get in here, and and so with that, and y'all, I'm looking like I've never seen this person, and they in my subdivision, y'all. I drove, y'all. While I'm talking to y'all, this is why I drove a little bit further because this man is not in my subdivision. And when I say he's not in my subdivision, he is not in my subdivision. Okay, ain't turned, ain't went nowhere. He done backed up, went the other way. Um, and he can't be right there because that lady lives right there. He most definitely can't be there. Y'all. See, and that's another thing. You got to keep your head on the swivel. Okay? Keep your head on the swivel during these times. People will be watching you. They'll be watching you all day, every day. All day, every day. Trying to find out what's going on, what they doing, what's all kind of stuff. All kind of stuff. Okay? And that's shocking me already because this person ain't got no DoorDash, no delivery. I know y'all like, oh, maybe it's a delivery this early in the morning. Y'all, it's too early for them to do any kind of deliveries in our area right now. Except for breakfast, like, if you like DoorDash or something like that. So that could happen, but looking at the interaction, that's not it. And so, um, I'm just gonna sit here and wait because, and I did it before. I came up in here, I saw them following me. I came back out, I rolled down, went to Walmart while I was sitting there talking to y'all. Came back down, and they came right back and followed every single step. Um, and so, that's why I'm waiting, y'all. That's why I'm waiting. Okay. I knew they wasn't going no freaking way the opposite way, baby. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. We ain't having it. We are not having it at all. And so, um, and that was really weird. Very much weird. And who drives a newer BMW? People, never mind. People do that. A BMW to go and do any kind of, and I didn't see them bring no deliveries or nothing, y'all. So, that's just weird. But you got to be careful with people who do stuff like that. You got to have your head on the swivel. Like I said, I drove out. I was talking to y'all. I was driving out. I drove in to the into my subdivision. Then I was like, something told me to turn left and get back out. And that's what I did, right? I went on out. I went down to Walmart. So they followed me to Walmart. Okay, I turn and I go to my bank because I'm like, my bank has a dead end street where it's a little circle and it's a loop. Okay. So if they do that, then I know they follow me. So I did the loop, and sure enough, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go back over here and see what's going on, but I'm not gonna take them all the way to the crib. If something happened out here, then I can defend myself a little bit. You know, am I right? But sure enough, they went to this other lady's, what's the name? Garage, who was very shifty. She's in our subdivision, but this lady is very shifty and she does very unethical things. And I don't know how she's still here. Okay. But I try to keep my distance from her and go on about my business. But yeah, that was just weird, beyond weird to me. Okay. Um. But yeah, keep your head on a swivel. Anyhow, yeah, when you're going through this, just be careful about who is trying to connect to you, who's trying to stay connected, who show up out of the blue. You know, because some people show up out of the blue. They come up in your life when their life sucks, because they know you to pick me up person. Don't be there to that person. Wherever they was at, leave them there. Leave them there. Okay? Wherever they was at, leave them there. I don't care who it is. Right where they was at. So, keep them right where they was at. Without hesitation. There go another bunny foo-foo. Never mind. Oh, mm, mm, mm. But yeah, y'all be careful. That's all I wanted to share with y'all. Why is coming by my house? Go on the other side. Hopefully something I said or done will help you on your journey. Please stay tuned to Journey to Jerusalem, y'all. Bye.